Patch notes for Delta Force Season 6 were released a few days ago. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit behind, but I still wanted to make a video covering the patch notes and all the changes that are coming with the new season of the game. So the video will be chaptered out, and I'll have a link in the description down below if you want to go and read the entirety of the patch notes for yourselves. If you want to skip all the new content because you already know what's coming in terms of new content, you can skip to the time code that I'll put in the video in the bottom there, just to, get to the patch notes and not have to watch or listen to the new content that's coming. So obviously the new season is called Word Blaze. The season is launching on the 23rd of September at 2 a.m. UTC, so whatever that is in your time zone. For me, it would be on the 22nd, late at night. For other people, it'll be late in the day or evening of September 23rd, and that's across all platforms. Albeit the console update is, same. No, it's at 3 a.m. UTC for Xbox Series S and PlayStation 5. So 1 hour delay on mobile and PC. It's at 2 a.m. UTC. So what's new this season? We have Raptor, the newest operator. So his actual name is Landon Harrison. So he's in the Recon class of operators. I'm not going to go through all his abilities because I'm going to release a video guide on Raptor in the coming days. We're also getting a brand new map, Fault. So I made a video just showcasing the map. I think it was 2 days ago. There'll be a link to that or a card up in the top right-hand corner if you want to go and look at it. It is a massive, gigantic map, but I think it's going to be a pretty good one. We also have a new mode that's permanent, so Team Deathmatch. If you are looking for something that's a little bit smaller scale, this might be for you. I was playing it with bots, unfortunately, but still had a lot of fun. We also have a new mode, Air Superiority, so air vehicles only, helicopters and jets. This will not be a mode for me because I'm literally the worst pilot in the world. But if you enjoy flying in Delta Force, then this mode will be interesting for you. On operations, there's a special event for Laeli Grove called Wildfires. So there's going to be just fires everywhere, which, fits with the thematics of the new season. So there's new tasks for Tide Prison. There's a new Warden boss, Groth. I hope I pronounced that right. I probably didn't. But yeah, new Warden boss in Tide Prison. Looks absolutely cool. This key art here is just fantastic. And then moving down here, we're going to start touching a little bit on the actual nitty gritty. So we have a loot ownership system in operations now. So basically loot ownership as a whole. If you get the kill or you assist in getting the kill, you can go and loot that body. If you revive the person that got the kill, then you also get access to the loot on that body. The loot is locked for a certain period of time when you're queuing up with just randoms. So if you're queuing up, you get a kill, the loot is locked for a limited period of time. The kill owner or the person that got the kill can give access to the loot to the other two players in the squad. And when you're squatting up prior to going into an operations match, from what they say here, you can have it set to open, or you can turn on loot protection in the settings to have exclusive access to the loot before your two teammates go and pick whatever's left. There's obviously new season missions and stuff like that. We have the brand new jet, so the F-45A fighter. So I think a lot of people were actually looking forward to this. And the new weapons being the Marlin lever action rifle, my preferred one out of the two, and then the MK47. Now, despite what this says, available in the new season on September 23rd, I don't think it's actually going to be unlockable via any missions. You might have to find it in operations in order to use it, but this one was unlockable via the armory, at least in the test server, so hopefully it is when the season launches as well. New attachments, so I covered that in past videos, so the 1P33, 2x4X scope, the modular AR rear grip with the FFC double port muzzle brake, the JAD underbarrel launcher, and the brand new AS Val Assassin premium barrel, which I think is going to be pretty powerful. So for in-game combat and level improvement on all the modes, the removed landing stagger, so you can immediately fire ADS, use medical items, or reload after landing from height, improved wall collision detection. I don't know if you've seen this in Delta Force when you've played, but sometimes people's legs are sticking out and you can actually shoot at them, so kind of feels pretty shitty being shot when you're like behind a wall and you get killed by somebody that's on the other side. Improved zipline mechanics, so the apparently finally fixed the bug where players would randomly fall to their death while using ziplines. You wouldn't necessarily fall to your death if you're quick enough to get the parachute off, but it would kick you off at the top of the zipline and you'd fall back, which is just really annoying. Smoother water to land transition, better water death visuals, improved water interaction effects, so better visual feedback for character water interactions. They added environmental audio transitions. So now sound effects now smoothly transition when moving splitting between indoor and outdoor areas, which is nice. Curious to see how that's going to sound. They also added HRTF support for mobile, which is really nice. New mobile settings, so combined crouch and prone setting or button when enabled. Crouch and prone merge into one button. Tap to crouch, hold to go prone. So just, better key bindings for mobile. New mobile feature while holding a knife, tapping the melee weapon slot switches back to your previous weapon. Updated mobile underwater climbing, fixed mantle animation slowdown, so character climbing animations no longer randomly decelerate. So for Warfare, a bunch of optimizations happened here. So optimized high-speed platform movement, so you can now jump and perform actions smoothly on fast-moving vehicles like tanks and fighters. Mobile bullet impact indicators, so it says added hit markers for certain vehicle weapons. I can't recall any of the vehicle weapons not having hit markers, but I digress. PC aircraft bullet indicators, mobile vehicle targeting, mobile secondary weapon quickfire, so you can quickfire button for some secondary weapons on mobile, available in the settings, mobile vehicle aim assist, mobile ground vehicle camera, PC turret controls, so they added turret lock function for ground vehicles, which is nice. Hybrid ADS mode, so some vehicles now support hybrid ADS mode. I didn't actually see this or notice this at all, but yeah, I guess when we really get in there, I'll potentially actually find it and understand what that means. PC aircraft controls, so obviously we now have aircraft controls for the jet Cyclone. They did some updates to attack and defend, so underground tunnel section from the capture zone was removed on A, added underground tunnel section to capture zone on C. Objective A attackers added 1 F-45A fighter spawn. And Cyclone King of the Hill, there's going to be 2 F-45A fighters per team, which is interesting. Ascension, same thing. Both teams get 1 F-45A fighter. Aerial supply stations, so they added aerial supply stations allowing jets and choppers to just fly through it and resupply. Wire guided missile, optimized the scope UI with remaining control time and current missile speed display. The LEVAA increased 20mm autocannon fire rate, and they slightly reduced the heat buildup per shot, but they did lower the base damage. So curious to see how this will pan out. Unfortunately, you can't really test this out on the current test version of the game because just bots don't get in vehicles at all. The light chopper, they increased the 7.62mm twin machine gun fire rate, slightly reduced the heat buildup per shot, and lowered the base damage. Assault boat, minor increased the acceleration and top speed. The M1A4, they slightly improved the mobility, and then for the LEVAA assault helicopter and light helicopter, they now have a built-in minimap anti-air search radar. For Victory Unite, so this is the game that I'm looking forward to actually getting into. Hopefully the queues work this time, so players can now choose their combat role for the match. So vehicle, infantry, rescue, show their preferred playstyle. Each role has its own progression system, so that is very interesting. Commanders or squad leaders can build 3 types of fortification: coastal artillery, AA guns, and bunker. So really putting a lot more importance on those 2 roles. Shared construction cooldowns between commander and squad leaders. Commander and squad leaders can destroy an existing fortification or directly replace it by initiating a new build. Construction versus map artillery, so coastal artillery performs slightly different from the original map version. Constructed artillery has a 2-second firing interval and 5-second reload after every 5 shots. So it's not just unlimited shots with the coastal artillery. Squad deployment, so redeploying near your squad leader reduces deployment cooldown by 5 seconds. So I think the cooldown timer is 20 seconds on VU. It's been a while since I've played it because you just can't get into a match. New commander communication, so non-commander and non-squad leader players can now access the commander channel through support. Honor level requirements, so you need 4+ required to participate. Repeated early exits will reduce your honor score. So not 100% on how this works because you just can't queue into VU in the test server. Commander skill updates, added faction-wide cooldowns. Switching commanders will no longer reset cooldowns, so that was a bug, I would imagine, not intended. Commander order changes, so some orders now have initial cooldowns. HT vehicle initial cooldown, 240 seconds, high value 180 for defenders, 210 for attackers. Quick deploy, 240 for attackers, 300 for defenders. Attackers using high value objective, 270 seconds for success cooldown and 240 for defeat. Defenders using high value objective success, 300-second cooldown, defeat 210. The HT vehicle initial cost is 100 points, and each successful use grants 200 points. Failed use reduces 200 points. And quick deploy cooldown, attackers get a cooldown of 240 seconds and defenders 300 seconds. So those are all like special things that the commander can do. If you've played Victory Unite, then you'll know a little bit more about how that functions. So for operations, there's just a bunch of balancing balancing changes. They added some loot spawns. They reduced some, all bosses that have higher supply drop rates and no longer drop ammo for weapons they don't carry. So this is just like, again, a ton of balancing for the loot pools and stuff like that. They added high value item inspections for some specific items. So blade server, races, phonograph, golden tearful crown, hack egg, colorful hack egg, Amiya figurine guard, Landon, and colorful Landon. Just a bunch of changes really to the loot pool, more so than anything else. And they reduced the spawn rate for Operation Floodline. Not 100% sure on what Operation Floodline is. I think it might be on Tide Prison where it floods. Again, not 100%. I really don't play Operations all that much, so you might know better than I do in this situation. For system improvements, so in all modes, cloud key configuration. So you can save your current sensitivity and keybind settings to the cloud or local storage, or directly apply cloud settings, and you have 5 slots available. So I think this would be just account wide that you can use it. For example, if you're playing on somebody else's system or you're reinstalling a game, you formatted your PC, then you can save all your settings in the cloud and reapply it instead of having to redo all your settings, which is really nice. Game lobby, background seeds updated to match seasonal themes. Operator system updates, so they streamlined operator selection. So when you're selecting your operator, when you start a game, you don't have to confirm which operator you're using. The one that's highlighted is the one that's selected and the one you're going to spawn with. And then you can double click on one to select that one. Albeit in Warfare, it doesn't really matter because when the map loads in, you can just switch to any operator. So, you know, kind of a moot point, maybe more important for Operations. Prevented accidental selection, which I just mentioned. Added hints for locked operators showing how you can unlock them. Operator specific key bindings. So if your current operator already uses custom key bindings, you'll go directly to that operator's settings, but you can manually switch to other operators or universal configuration. So actually, I didn't really look in the settings much in the test server, but I would imagine this means that you can have specific key bindings for certain operators. Kind of like Overwatch. If you've ever played Overwatch, you can have specific settings for each hero, which is really interesting. Better return operation presentation, so players now receive operation experience and double merit rewards in Warfare. Gunsmith optimization, so just better streamlined operation of the firing range in the gunsmith. And if you're using a trial loadout that you want to try and you're building directly in the firing range, it'll save even if you go back. You don't have to rebuild it every time, so that's interesting. Friends and squad mate reservations. So in the lobby, you can invite friends currently in a match. In game, you can invite matched squad mates. When accepted, they will join your squad directly. Now, I don't think this means they're going to be able to join your game, but you can still squad up with them even though you're in the game. And then rank leaderboards separate PC and mobile players, and they added honor history tracking. For Warfare, you can now select your actual servers, which is really, really nice. So obviously you would always want to select the one that is closest to you with the least ping. So that is very interesting. For Operations, there's a bunch of things here. So new collectibles, red quality, gold quality, purple quality. They added a bunch of new items, gear tickets. They did a bunch of balancing again to just a ton of stuff in Operations, just too much to go through. So as you can see here, the elite gear ticket, the value was increased. New Spec Ops gear ticket, so that is a brand new gear ticket, which is interesting, and a new custom gear ticket for the seasonal missions and through events and stuff like that. Supply station changes, so just a bunch of new crafts or modification of crafts that you unlock later or earlier, or they increase the amount of materials you need to produce specific types of ammo. Like the BS ammo now requires 2 premium fuel and 2 electric breaching hammer in order to make this type of ammo. So again, just a ton of different balancing changes for Operations specifically. For weapon balance and optimizations across all modes, so the M250 has less base control now, so it was 45, now it's 40. The QJB changed from 45 to 50. Control changed from 46 to 52, significantly reduced horizontal recoil. AKM performance barrel, so instead of now having to come to a complete stop, as soon as you take your fingers off the key or you stop moving, the really increased hip fire accuracy takes, right? It's instantaneous, so you'll be able to start hip firing just crazy accurately as soon as you take your fingers off of the movement keys. Burst mode, so that they enhance recoil recovery mechanics for better firing feel. Reload optimization, so they fixed sync issues between reload animations and ammo capacity for certain weapons. The 357 revolver, they improved the firing performance when using high magnification scopes. For the Warfare, now this is one that I'm really sad to see. The QCQ got a damage nerf from 26 to 25. The SR25 base damage was 35, now it's 50 with the instant short barrel. The damage fall off is 90 meters, 0.85x at 30 meters, and then 50 meters is 0.70 and 0.6x. R93 sniper rifle, base damage is now 100, so the damage fall off is at 55 meters it's 0.7x damage from 0.30 to 60, 0.8x, 1x, 0.6. So at 0 meters, you're doing 0.x damage. At 30 meters, you're doing 1x damage. You're doing that 100 damage. So basically a sweet spot mechanic. And the limb damage multiplier is 0.9 as opposed to 1. So basically from 30 meters up until 60, from what I gather from this information, you're going to be able to one-shot anybody with the R93 to the chest. So if you've ever played Battlefield 1, this is literally the sweet spot mechanic where within a certain range for a sniper rifle, you're one-shotting people to the chest, which is interesting. I think it'll be pretty mixed reception on this. The compound bow, the arrow velocity was increased, ammo capacity was increased, compound bow light limb removed aim spread penalty, fixed machine gun, so they significantly improved the recoil. There was no reason why the recoil had to be that high, honestly. They were basically unusable. Fixed weapons, so they adjusted defense rating to match heavy vehicle defense levels. Assault class weapon selection, again, don't know why they added the KC-17 to the assault class. You know, it was a support only weapon last season, and now they're like, hey, let's just throw it to the assault. You know, it's honestly a moot addition because there are so many more effective ARs that do the exact same job of the KC-17, so really don't know why they added it. And then they did a bunch of, you know, rebalancing to certain attachments here. Nothing really too crazy to note. Potentially like these two here. So the sound suppression for the PBS was low, now it's strong. And then the M7 practical suppressor, sound suppression weak and strong. So just a bunch of different, you know, balancing changes here. For operations, penetration mechanics, so arrows and level 0 ammo now feature hand to chest penetration, so attacks from certain angles will hit the hand first with damage fall off, then deal secondary damage to the chest. So basically bullet penetration for actual limbs. The enhanced icons for certain ammo, MP7 submachine gun, reduced hip fire spread for the first 8 shots, increased rounds needed to reach maximum spread, then just a bunch of general balancing changes here. So the abdomen damage multiplier for the M250 was 0.7, now it's 0.9. The QJB saw some balancing changes as well, so better control stat benefits, remove control penalty, certain barrels and stuff like that saw different balancing changes here. The M4A1 base damage now is 31, which is interesting. SKS is 44 damage now as opposed to 44, or 48 as opposed to 44. And then the SR25, yeah, just general changes to all the different barrels here, nothing too crazy. For the operator balance adjustments, now these ones are pretty interesting. So for Hackclaw, on all modes, the Dana knife, sound transmission distance was 60 meters, now it's 30 meters, and the hack activation delay was 2 seconds, and now it is 0.1 seconds. So basically instantaneous, with a visible line connecting to the hacked target. Hitting an enemy reveals the position in nearby enemies for 3 seconds, so a huge buff for Hackclaw here. In the flash drone, they reduced the drone model size, requiring higher precision to destroy. So we all know that, you know, Hackclaw's drone was so easy to destroy that you were pretty lucky if you would manage to get somebody with it. In warfare specifically, killing an enemy operator with the data knife replenishes one knife instantaneously, and on operations, killing enemy soldiers reduces the cooldown by 70%, and killing an enemy operator reduces the cooldown by 90%. Non-operator targets no longer provide hack feedback. For the flash drone, increased flash coverage area to block more of the field of view. Cooldown it was 60 seconds, it's now 45, and the flash delay after warning was 0.5, now it's 0.45 seconds, and the signal decoder, it used to scan 2, now it's 4, the duration was 12, they doubled it to 24, and the cooldown was decreased to 90 seconds, so a huge buff to Hackclaw, and Tempest is also joining the buff club this season. We all know that Tempest was, you know, not the greatest operator, at least not in warfare, potentially in operations a little bit more. So in all modes, the emergency evasion device maximum movement distance was 45 meters, and now it is 100 meters. So more than doubled, and the duration was 20 seconds, now it's 25. They enhanced obstacle crossing performance for the combat role. The drill charge, the disarm timer is now 3 seconds as opposed to 2, and the effective range is 10 as opposed to 8 before. And the auxiliary surge spine, the cooldown was 8 seconds, and now it is 5 seconds. For warfare, the emergency evasion device, the temporary HP during emergency evasion was 50, now it's 100. So you basically go back to full health during that pullback, and it's removed post-activation recovery animation as well. For operations, the emergency evasion device, the cooldown was reduced to 90 seconds, and the self-revive time when downed was reduced to 10 seconds as opposed to 15. Nox also got a slight buff, so they gave Nox the ability to respawn at any friendly beacon in Warfare, allowing for more diverse infiltration tactics. So Nox can now spawn on any recon spawn beacon, regardless of whether he's in their squad or not. So very, very useful in a lot of situations. And I think it's going to make Nox a much more powerful operator, even in vehicle heavy maps. And a new ability for Warfare can redeploy at any friendly faction respawn beacon without using beacon durability. So that's interesting, and each deployment triggers a 60-second cooldown. So you can't consistently spawn on that friendly beacon, but still interesting nonetheless. For Toxic, so they found that Toxic's Dragonfly Swarm Drone lacks suppression power in Warfare, so they're boosting its lethality and will continue monitoring its performance. So all modes, Adrenaline, they reduced the heartbeat background sound duration, so from 25 seconds to 10. And the Dragonfly Swarm Drone, maximum HP drain rate was 7.5 HP per second. Now it's 30 per second. So that is crazy. So for Stinger, they're saying as Stinger's core sustainability, the hive tip pistol was ineffective in early game situations. We added one starting ammo in the last mid-season update to handle early game emergencies, and we're improving it further in this update. So in operations, the Hive-Tech pistol, the initial one ammo round now starts chambered. There's no reload required. For Uluru, so the burn rounds were overpowered in confined spaces, so we're making damage adjustments across both modes. So in Warfare, the incendiary grenade peak burn damage was reduced from 16 to 14. In operations, peak burn damage was reduced from 20 to 16. The loitering munition in operations, power consumption during acceleration was 3x, now it's 2x, and the loitering munitions can now travel much farther when accelerating. For Saneva, the EOD set explosive resistance in operation. They reduced that, so he's going to take more explosive damage. And Saneva now needs better ballistic vest protection to survive high damage explosives. Additionally, the grapple gun's cooldown has been increased to raise the cost of mistakes. In all modes, the EOD set they slightly improved shield sync speed for orientation in third-person view, and they increased blast shield thickness to prevent some penetration hits. And the grapple gun, when dragging an enemy, it now interrupts any ongoing melee swings. And specifically in operations, the EOD set explosive damage reduction was 50, now it's 35, and the grapple gun cooldown was 25 seconds, and now it is 35 seconds. And they did some very basic improvements to certain abilities for Hackclaw, Tempest, and Luna as well. Finally, almost done here for bug fixes optimization. So they fixed exploitable positions in Zero Dam, occasional audio cutouts for gunfire and warfare, which is really nice. They fixed missing attachments for the G17, AWM, RN83, SVD, and AK-12 in Warfare. They fixed incorrect PC K416 hipfire recoil and recoil trajectory display. Fixed occasional damage calculation errors in Warfare. I've heard people report that there's a bug where, like, when you're playing Viren and you jump off a high ground area and then you like dynamic propulsion into a higher ground area than where you're going to fall, you would take all that fall damage instantly and die. So I think this might actually fix that. Fixed red laser light combo attribute malfunction when activated in Warfare. Fixed vehicles occasionally teleporting in place. Fixed abnormal vehicle shaking when viewed from a distance. So this is actually really annoying and really off-putting. Fixed missing lock-on warnings when vehicle are targeted by smart missiles and artillery. So that pretty much covers the entirety of the patch notes. Obviously, I didn't go through all the different balance changes and, you know, tweaking to operations, loot pools, and stuff like that. The link to the full patch notes will be in the description down below. This video has already been going on for far too long because these patch notes are just like, there's so much stuff here. There's just so much, but very excited to jump into Season 6. I guess tonight, technically. And I will be streaming on Tuesday for the new season. So if you're curious or you want to hang out with me, hang out on YouTube or Twitch. I'll be streaming on both at the same time. So yeah, let me know what you're most excited for in terms of changes in Season 6 of Delta Force. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.